Hello everybody, it's Allison. I'm back again to make another video after a while of no videos. So I wanted to tell you about kind of an interesting gender-related thing that happened to me lately. Now, the background for this is that in the past, I have talked a lot with my wife about my feelings about gender, of course, as I've mentioned before. She's very patient, very supportive, very understanding, and we have talked about how it could be interesting or helpful for me for her to try calling me by different things, like calling me, not so much like calling me he, but maybe to refer to me as her husband or something, like just in private, not in public, because that would confuse people. So recently she gave me a card, and on the envelope of the card it said, "To my husband." So it was sweet of her to try this out. And when I saw that on the card, like right away, instantaneously, I was like, oh my gosh, that's just weird. Like, weird. I mean, I just want to emphasize, I appreciate that she did it and she's very patient with me, but I was just interested by my reaction because I feel like I kind of learned something from how this felt. So it was not really weird in the sense of like, gosh, this is unusual, but maybe I could try to get used to it. No, it was weird like, that is like, I can't even think of an analogy. It's just like, no, that's not really me. Yeah, no, not really. It was just like, ooh, that's weird, and that's enough of an experiment for me. I don't want to be called a husband anymore. It just weirds me out. So I was surprised that I had that strong of a reaction from just this one instance. But I'm glad that it happened because it was very different than how it feels to just think about it in my mind, you know, like what would that feel like if she called me her husband? See, when I think about it that way, I'm like, I could see how that might be appealing. But then when it actually happens, it's like, that's just weird. No. So, you know, my point is that maybe if anybody else feels kind of in between in terms of gender, or if there are people out there who are not sure if they're trans or something like that, because I get messages and comments from a lot of people who feel that way, maybe try these things out. Try having people call you different things. Because there's a chance that it might give you a lot of information about what ends up feeling right to you. Yes, because this instance gave me a lot of information. So, relating to this, now, this does not necessarily mean that I am completely in love with being called wife or girlfriend or just like girl in general, because I have very mixed feelings about that. I mean, I have gotten used to being called wife, and I feel okay about that. Although, I feel like I'd probably prefer more gender-neutral terms. I think that might be more comfortable for me than either like wife or husband and that sort of thing. Like I'm kind of a fan of the word partner, except for the fact that sometimes it can be seen as lower status because it's like, oh, I'm gay and I can't legally get married, so then it's like illegal for somebody to call me a wife and they have to call me a partner. I mean, I know that's not true, but that is the feeling that is sometimes behind the word partner in some cases, at least for some people. But I like that it's gender neutral. What other thing was I thinking of? I forget. Oh, yeah, well, just that partner sometimes sounds like a business partner, which is strange. But anyway, that's not necessarily my main point. So, speaking of gender stuff, I haven't made an update in a long time of how I've been feeling about all that, which is, again, usually, the reason why I don't make updates or videos during certain periods of time. It's just because I've been feeling fine in terms of gender, which is nice. Like, I haven't been feeling trans lately. Yeah, as I said before, I kind of go through periods of it. That's the whole gender fluid thing. But right now, I'm feeling fine. I'm feeling just happy about myself, confident and everything. And I've thought about this for years, as you guys can tell, and I've made some observations about why I feel fine at times and why I feel very discontented and unhappy and insecure and obsessed about thinking about gender at other times. So I feel like there are a couple of contributing factors. So when I feel really discontented and insecure about my gender, that corresponds to when I'm really obsessed with looking up trans stuff online and watching trans guys' videos. I think that I just end up overthinking it, and then that makes me feel unhappy and insecure and all that. Overthinking it. Yeah, and you know, I had this observation when I was watching a trans guy's videos recently, which is that there's this common theme, obviously, of trans guys in their videos talking about being masculine, looking masculine, and of course they end up looking more masculine if they are on T, you know, because I mean it like masculinizes your face and everything. So they talk about that, they feel very happy about it, and so then, in my mind, sort of half-consciously, I look at myself or think about myself, or I go to the bathroom and look at myself in the mirror, not on purpose, just I happen to do that when I step into the bathroom, and I'm like, oh, I don't, like, my face doesn't look as masculine as these people on T. Like, I feel like I'm not masculine, like, and then I end up, like, not liking how I look. I end up feeling insecure. So, when I'm not watching many videos and not obsessing about this stuff, you know, then when I happen to look in the mirror, I'll be like, oh, yeah, I look fine. It's going good. And I'm not as hyper-conscious of gender stuff and gendered appearance, so I don't feel as insecure about it. So I've been trying not to get sucked into watching tons of videos. And I can imagine how some people might argue here that maybe I'm, like, repressing my feelings or something. Like, maybe I am trans and I'm repressing it. But I really don't think that's true, because I think that if you have a feeling that mainly comes up when you get external stimulus, for example, watching videos, then maybe it's not a true feeling because it's so influenced by this external source. Like, if I never watched any videos and I still felt really trans, then I would give that more credit and think that maybe that was more true. So, but that's not the case for me. And then another factor contributing to my feelings about gender, or my level of discontentedness, is kind of related to, like, depression or happiness. Now, I may have mentioned before that I have issues with depression and anxiety, and when I have periods of time when I feel more depressed, which is often when my life is not totally balanced, like when I'm not doing much fun stuff, or when I just, like, stay at home a lot, or when I don't exercise that much, that often coincides with me feeling more discontented about how I look, and unhappy in terms of gender, and, like, wishing that things could be better, and that I could look better, and that I would be more accepted. But external things like that, you know, like looks, that's not really going to end up having that much of a quality of life. I mean, unless you, like, are trans and you transition, I can see how that would actually help. But if you just want to make little changes, you know, if you're not actually trans, then that's not really going to change your life outlook or your life experience that much, really. It's just kind of a symptom of being depressed, perhaps. At least that's what I've observed. And then when I kind of get out of a rut, and when I exercise, when I spend time with people who are important to me, when I do yoga, I feel better. And I just don't obsess that much about gender stuff, and I feel fine. So I would think that maybe there are other people in the world who might experience similar things. So if you think that that could potentially be true for you, well, I don't know, maybe try to be conscious of how your life is going and how that affects your thoughts about gender. It's worth a shot. I felt like I was going to say something else. I guess that's probably most of it. Yeah. That's about it for now. This is a pretty long video, so if you're still watching, thank you for watching. Feel free to comment. I'm always interested in people's comments. I don't have a ton of time these days to respond to comments or messages because I'm the busiest with work that I've been all year, but I do appreciate your comments and I appreciate your watching. So thank you very much. Bye.